Thank you, Council President. 3 weeks ago, I stood in front of the link and implored the mayor to put in place a vaccination plan big enough and bold enough to vaccinate this city with the speed our citizens demand in order to get our lives back, our families back, and get us back to work. For 3 weeks, the administration rejected the plan, saying we didn't have enough vaccines to make a site as big as the link necessary. During these weeks, I asked the administration to plan for a time when vaccines exceed our capacity to deliver them through normal channels. Last week, I called on the mayor to deliver to City Council a plan to do just that. I said then that without a plan for scaling up capacity to meet doses, I could not, in good conscience, vote to hand over more money to the administration. And last Saturday, the front page of the Philadelphia Inquirer, in a banner headline, said what I feared all along. The city's problem was no longer a lack of vaccines, but our lack of capacity to distribute them. If you didn't think we needed a plan when the mayor was saying we had more than enough capacity, surely now, 3 weeks later, we are running out of capacity and a plan is needed, detailing specifically how we're going to scale up. Now, less than 24 hours ago, we finally received last night their plan. My fellow colleagues, this plan will not get us to where we need to be. Here's why. The city based its dosage estimates on President Biden's plan he laid out in mid-February to deliver 300 million doses to America by the end of July. A plan based on Biden's mid-February projections would have made sense, but for the fact that 48 hours ago, as Councilmember Green noted today, the president changed the timetable, and now 300 million doses are going to be delivered by the end of May. 2 months earlier than the president's earlier projection. 2 months earlier. And unfortunately for all of us, 2 months earlier than the city's current plan. This plan can only mean one thing. The city intends to get all of our vaccines by the end of May, but remains woefully unprepared to deliver them until the end of July. And that's if you believe in the ability of the city to scale up to deliver them by July, given the plan they presented. So let me just take a quick look at the plan. This plan says that 35% of the city's capacity to deliver doses by the last week of April will come from FEMA. There are only two problems with this assumption. First, the FEMA site is set to close by the last week of April. Second, FEMA is not responsible for providing capacity for the city's dose allocation. FEMA has its own separate dose allocation. Now let's rerun the numbers for a moment using the current White House plan for vaccine delivery and the current understanding of FEMA's role in our city's distribution. Assume under the Biden timeline, our dose count is 200,000 per week by the end of April, and not the 120,000 under the city's plan. Taking FEMA doses out of the city's capacity equation means we can deliver 78,000 of those 200,000 doses that we will be receiving every week thereafter. At which time, according to the president's new timeline, we will receive our full share of doses. That leaves us over 122,000 doses undelivered each week for 4 weeks. So this plan would have City Council accept today the proposition that in a city of 1.5 million people, we will delay dosing almost 500,000 of our residents, all because we couldn't figure out how to scale up capacity to dose them faster than through the end of July. My fellow colleagues, this is a plan built for failure. The Philly fighting COVID disaster just doesn't happen on its own. It happens because we fail to plan. Jumping the line at the convention center doesn't just happen. It happens because we fail to plan. 22% of the doses going to African Americans, who make up 44% of Philadelphia, doesn't just happen. It happens because we failed to prevent it. When the convention center was chosen as a FEMA site, I was concerned, and I warned that putting a mega site in Center City, a 67% white neighborhood, using a registry that is disproportionately white, would not achieve racial equity. Today, an article that came out today, WHYY reports that the white neighborhoods within walking distance of the convention center are trying to jump the line. And what is the administration's response? The mayor said, scolding Philadelphians to examine their conscience. I say to the mayor and the administration, why don't we first examine our failed technology? I've asked for a one-stop shop to manage scheduling so these failures would end and do the work necessary to correct the problems that come with a lack of planning. We don't expect perfection, but we do expect leadership to admit when they are wrong, have made mistakes, and then let's work together to get it right. Just this morning, I received a response to my questioning of the projected doses in the plan. The mayor says the plan is fluid and that the charts are merely illustrative. Let me tell you, I've seen a lot of action plans in my day. And when the planners use words like fluid and illustrative, it usually means there is no plan. I listened to President Biden when he revised the timetable for doses. I assure you that President Biden was not being fluid or illustrative when he announced his plan, and neither should we. Until we own up to the real numbers and a real plan, we will lose the fight for racial equity and ensure that our city will still be fighting this pandemic while other big cities in America are on the road to recovery. Three weeks ago, I said the link was the best option for scaling up capacity to deliver doses with speed and equity. Yesterday, I hosted a conference call with our partners who could get this done, and they all stand ready to deploy the link to deliver 10,000 plus vaccinations a day. Today, the link doesn't just stand as the best option. It's probably the only option on large scale we have left to get there by the end of May. The mayor wants us to hand over $50 million today for this plan that does not work. I cannot vote until I see a plan that works. One that's as big and bold as the hopes and dreams we all have for a city that can finally put this pandemic behind us. This is the most important issue of our life. Thank you, Mr. President.